Hello everyone, hope you're doing great. So today we are going to study an article in depth and understand the value of the article and understand it in the sense that it was meant to be understood. We are going to This is a new series that we are starting in which we will understand take specific articles, understand their purpose they were written for, and make sure that we bookmark it and save it for future reference as well, because articles like these can only be read with perfect precision and accuracy, can only help us in our exams, since you will be only carrying uh, a limited amount of knowledge with you. These articles give you a comprehensive and a very uh, good view and uh, words to approach all the GA sections. So let's start with it. This article is from 18th January, that's Tuesday, that was the yesterday's newspaper. And this article is about internal security and external geopolitics also. This article is written by Mr. M.K. Narayan, who has been, if I could, yes, he is the former director of IB and National Security Advisor to us, and a former governor of West Bengal. So that means that his article is of quite value. All right. So to study this article, let us first, we are going to divide the article. First is the introduction. Second is, this article talks about the geopolitical challenges that we as a country will be facing in 2022. As you all can imagine, there are so many things that happened in the central front and in the eastern front also, and things are erupting and developing as we speak, so it becomes important for us to understand what can happen in future. So this article, it sheds light on most important challenges that India can face as a country. First is of course China as a disruptor. Second is the Russia and Ukraine conflict. The third is the Taliban effect, the Taliban issue in the Middle East. And the fourth one is, yes, the fourth one is the border issues for India. That would be a comprehensive view of China and our relations and how can we counter it. The last one, fifth part, is the solutions that he has provided on what we as a country can do, and in a very diplomatic way what we can do. So let's start with article. Firstly, the most important thing is to understand is that uh, he's saying that uncertainty and impermanence is likely to be dominant aspect of world affairs in 2022, since so many things happened in 2021. So we are seeing risk in domestic and geopolitical areas of a country. Democracy could itself face serious headwinds this year. That means that democracy would be very much in trouble this year, as it seems by his article. So, to give you an overview and a brief, his article is particularly in a negative connotation, I have to say. But yes, the solutions and the problems that he has introduced are very apt. First, he has told us the China issue. He has very well explained the China issue. In this case, he says that China is possibly the most disrupting issue that lies in front of us. He has given that it's a 15.6 trillion economy in 2020, and net worth is estimated higher than that of USA. So what China is demanding, it demands to be recognized militarily also and economically also. And it's openly challenging the US supremacy, as it used to at previously it did not used to do, but now it is doing. And they have abandoned this policy of one country and two systems policy, as we could see with Hong Kong. And Hong Kong already lost its freedom, and Taiwan is on the verge of losing its freedom. Then he's saying that the stakes of cross trade relations between China and Taiwan get higher in 2022. That means that these issues are likely to rise, and this could well be the reason why China could provoke a very serious conflict based on the Taiwan issue. The next thing he says is that this can lead to new tensions in Asia Pacific region in 2022. That is because two outsiders, uh, it appears that China economy has entered a period of relative uncertainty and is looking more vulnerable. But under Xi Jinping, China will not acknowledge this. So we all know that China is always on the forefront of making itself appear very big and very strong. But to outsiders, it believes that the economy is very uncertain right now in China. So again, if others think that what is happening in China is something very volatile, China would be forced and tempted to demonstrate that it has still the ability to get the better of US in the Pacific region, because it has so much at stakes in this region. So one thing is its ability to ramp up military capabilities while the US is reducing the forces in the Indo-Pacific region. Uncertainty per se is constitute a serious risk. So what he means to say by this is uncertainty itself is a very serious risk in the case of China. Second, he draws our attention to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, as we all know that Ukraine is a part of NATO forces, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization. You all have to read this because now this will be in huge news. And what the world powers cannot decide is which side is indulging in provocation, which side is provoking the other side. But what cannot be contested is that has expanded its reach to almost 100 miles to the east in violation of earlier tactic understanding. What Russia and NATO had, NATO has already went inside eastern into the territory of Russia. And Vladimir Putin is also very certain that Ukraine is the last frontier that Russia will have. So that means that both the forces are at headwinds here, and he would ensure that through military force this happens. That Russia and Ukraine is the last frontier for Russia. And situation is tense because of the cyclical outcomes with considerable damage potential, because both Russia and NATO will not subside. So this is possible war or conflict that can happen in the region, and peace is not at hand since both the countries and both the parties will not tolerate each other in the area. The current unrest, again, there is a new issue that's emerged, that is the current unrest in Kazakhstan region, which we all saw was one of the most stable Central Asian nations which were present, and now that has also been disrupted. It says in the recent events, Kazakhstan reflects a new round of color revolutions. It also tells us a sharper cleavage between US led West and principal opponents, that is Russia and China. So we can see that a rift is forming between these nations. And it is already racked by a series of coups and inter internecine strife, as in Ethiopia, Libya, and certain regions of West Asia and North Africa. So the word meanings I'm going to tell you. Intestine strife means that already worsening situation, and wracked is uh, is also something that means that the situation is worsening. So next issue that he takes us towards is the return of Taliban. Now, Taliban return has been very important for India to understand, and to understand the significance of what it has brought to the table. It has led to a material shift in the balance of power that was already in a region that was already troubled. So we all know that we share a periphery or a boundary with Afghanistan, and it was already a troubled region where Taliban now has taken over. So the return to power represents a very significant victory for Pakistan that can be very harmful for India. And but this victory comes from a great deal of baggage both to Pakistan and much of Asia, because you can see now two things are happening. First is, since Taliban arose, there is a sentiment among people that anti-state militant groups, for example, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, can can come and rise again. So as you can see, that has become energized and enlarging its sphere of action to other parts, notably Kazakhstan. We have seen TTP rising again. So that means that it has given encouragement to other anti-state militant groups to rise again. Now we all know that the TTP was a byproduct of jihadi politics, and Al Qaeda network, and it has still covert links with Al Qaeda. So it will have unsettling effects across large parts of Asia, which will be very troublesome for us as a country as well. And now, seeing on the eastern side in Indonesia, what we are seeing a resurgence or a rising Islamist activities is taking place. Especially the radical Islamist activities are taking place. The example he has given is of Jimaya Islamia, which has arisen and which is more uh, troublesome for us. Also, this provides for a fertile ground to other radical Islamist groups. This is what we are afraid of. We are afraid of other terrorist groups that are getting encouraged because of this, and providing a fillip to groups like Islamic State, especially Islamic State of Khorasan. Khorasan is a plateau, Iranian plateau, above the Iranian plateau, that is the region. So that means that this resurgence will encourage other anti-state players to arise in the region and cause trouble and terrorist attacks across Asian region. Next is the border issue with India. Again, if we consider China, it has always seen China has become more confrontational in nature, and it is not now an attempt by China to restrict or limit India's options. China could aggravate itself in 2022. And as India becomes a part of more and more associations like the Quad, you all need to understand now Quad and NATO as well. Quad is the US, Japan, and Australia and India. Still ranks as far as China's psyche is concerned because we are still a very nascent stage in this Quad. And so, China, we are afraid that China could embark on a new adventure and on the Sino-Asian Indian border, of course, and we are unlikely to see any reduction in this. So the tensions could rise in the areas of Ladakh, Arunachal Pradesh, and middle sector. And also, there's also a problem that lies in the ocean with China's navy. Saber rattling is showing military strength, and saber rattling, why China is showing its military strength, particularly because of low yield nuclear weapons that are meant for battlefield use during conventional military operations, also. So that means that China is showing their strength against normal military confrontations, also that they can use. And also, what we are seeing, particularly in the Navy, is China's naval force projection in the Indian Ocean region, which is also very troublesome for us as a country. So, what finally he tells us is that diplomatically in 2022, India would find itself very vulnerable in two areas of strategic interest to it, that is, Central Asia and West Asia. Both regions are going through a churn, and we have to manage our traditional friendship as we have seen in case of Russia also, and we also need to have new relationships like the India US relationship. In West Asia, the challenge would be to manage its membership of the second quad. Second quad, the quad, and the NATO. Now, these are three things, associations that you have to remember: India, Israel, United Arab Emirates, and US. This part of second quad that we are in, and the conflicting interest of the different players in the region. So, we all have to maintain this very small and tiny balance. And finally, we have the solution that he presents us, that India always, we were on a path of non-aligned. We were not aligned to any particular ideology or mindset, but there is a limit to this kind of balancing act that India can perform, right? Because whether it is regard to buying, whether we are buying S-400 missile systems from Russia, because when we do this, we are risking our relations with the US, because then we are put under the countering America's adversaries through sanctions act. So CATSA, we can say CATSA, US is putting sanctions on us for buying missiles from Russia, and then whether it's maneuvering our relationship between UAE, Israel, Iran, and US in West Asia. So we have to be very, very peculiar about this. And the negative connotation is that it does not look bright in 2022. Also, no grand strategy is evident as of now, but it is important that India finds rational answers to the rash problems that it cannot keep on back burner. So, the thing that he proposes is that we must avoid blind spots, and we uh, must take care to read the signs properly, diplomatically, and as a country. So, Indian leaders and diplomats must not only take stock of the dangers that exist, but also ready for any risk or anything, any surprises that may be present. So, this